aboard!
Hey, what's up, everybody? You're listening to Cannabis Karaoke, where we ask you to grab the mic and tell your story. Get inside info from today's most interesting cannabis pioneers, and from the first note to the end of the song, listen up as you get to hear the stories of success on Cannabis Karaoke. Welcome to another episode of Cannabis Karaoke. You know, I've been telling everybody we're going to keep doing these things daily. You know, we're sitting here in isolation. It sucks. COVID-19, people, we got to flatten the curve. So, you know, we're going to keep doing these podcasts, keep bringing entertaining people to you. I unfortunately have gathered a co-host now. We've gone through the contract negotiations. As of last podcast, I was refusing to say his last name. Now I'm able to do that. We actually have an agreement in place, so we're all good. Welcome my co-host, Mark Reitman. He keeps bringing these heaters of interviews to the table, and we got another one today for you people. We like to bring a spectrum, right? So we're going to interview today Rico Lamitte. He is an NCAA football player, founder of the LA and Orange County Cannagather. He was selected as one of High Times' 100 most influential people in 2018, and he's the founder of Suave, which is his company, and he also goes by Suavecito. Welcome to the show, my man, and thank you, Mark, for getting through those contracts. I know it was tough.
I'm in it to win it. Hello, Rico.
What's happening? A couple of quick edits there. It's the Suave Life.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
No, you're good. It's the Suave Life, and then also there's something else that you said, but I'm high and I forgot. So yeah, I think this is great.
Welcome to the podcast.
great to be on. Thank you guys for having me, man. I definitely appreciate the love. And Mark's always been A1 with me, so much love for the shout out there, Mark. And anything I can do, let me know. I'm with it.
You bet. We like to support like all our folks in the industry who work well together and doing positive things. And I know that's you. So thanks for being with us.
All about it. Much love.
Tell us a little bit about you know, coming into cannabis out of the NCAA.
Yeah.
What was that transition like? You know, a lot of stuff going on with the NCAA right now. It's specific to basketball at the moment because they just lowered their age, and now the NCAA is not going to have that grip on people and manufacturing a bunch of money off of people's likenesses while they charge them an exorbitant rate to go to school. Obviously, I have an opinion on that. But what about what about you? What drove you to kind of? Were you using cannabis while you're playing? Were you using CBD? Like, what's the thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's crazy you asked that because and that's exactly what my TED Talk was about. So I did a TED Talk.
Damn, you're a TED Talker. Welcome.
Yeah.
Fellow TED Talker here.
We did TEDx. No, nice.
Yeah.
I did. Mine was Man Behind the Mask 3 Times That Cannabis Saved My Life. And it was all about my opioid addiction that stemmed from NCAA football. How it really opened up my horizons, broke down a lot of social barriers first, leading to economic barriers along the way. There's a lot of shit that happened in between, obviously. We don't have 17 minutes for me to run through it right now.
Dude, you take your time, bro. We'll go 2 hours. We ain't got nothing but time, bro. We ain't nothing but time.
Hey, man, I got nothing but weed over here, too.
Hey, me too.
Right, so actually, my first time being introduced to the plant, being from Virginia, was I was 12 years old. We would then call hanging with the bad kids, and just smoking weed. I was a casual weed smoker. I switched over from cigarettes originally when I was in middle school, and weed was the way to go going forward. I was kind of like a secret smoker, and then when I went to play football at Northwestern University, Big Ten ball, one of the first things that the older guys on the team taught us was, as a scholarship athlete, we never get randomly tested. We know exactly when the testing cycles were, so we can afford those, because you are an investment.
You're an asset.
Schools.
You
are an asset.
They're making money on you.
Exactly. And even when I was in school, it was $47,000 a year to go, like room and board that per year. Now it's $73,000 a year at Northwestern. Jeez. So yeah, if you're making a $300,000 dollar investment on one individual. You're not going to fuck that up by randomly testing. So
good to see the
yeah, so
system works. Good to see
yes,
that these random testings and this blind process that we're supposed to have. Awesome.
right,
Doesn't surprise me. Keep going.
right, right, and so yeah, we knew what the schedule, testing schedule was, and it was so cold that we wouldn't be able to get together all the time, me and my teammates. So that's when I had my first white friend. That's when I had my first
Congratulations.
yeah, right. I had my first Asian friends, my first gay friends, because wherever you smell the weed, that's where I was hovering towards in the wintertime, and that's what really opened up my social horizons. Because coming from Virginia, you just stick to your own kind.
Yeah.
The crazy thing about like Donald Trump right now, that's like that the way Donald Trump acts outwardly, publicly, is how Black folks in the South just assume all white people act behind closed doors.
Can I just for a minute say it's dude, I fall into the tall I'm a ginger, right? Like Mark, so it's like a tall white dude, tattoos. It's never, I mean, it's a horrible representation of us as people. And
right.
I'm just the guy he's got to have dementia and Alzheimer's. It's the only thing I can think that saves him,
right.
because I've never seen anybody rip somebody when, like the recent reporter question that asked him how how do people feel if they're scared? What do you want to tell them? You're a horrible person. It's like, dude,
right.
he softballed
Fuck,
you a free time to like sit up there and posture on your podium with your orange goggle face. Like, let's go. Yeah, I can't believe it, man. Sorry about that. Like, that's just horrible.
No.
It's not how everybody feels. That guy's a kook. Hopefully he's gone.
No, you don't. Like, you don't have to say sorry to me. Like, it's just, I feel bad for like the people where I'm from, because they still think that if it wasn't for me smoking weed in college, I would still be thinking that. Like if I didn't smoke weed with white kids in college and actually made real white friends through smoking weed, I would still be thinking the same thing. So like weed really kind of broke down that barrier for me and actually opened me up to just like new ways of life, new walks of life, and just hearing out other people's stories, because everybody has their own struggle that they've been through. Everybody has their backstory, and I feel like this plant really brings everybody together. But yeah, like later down in my college football journey, I ended up senior year. I ended up with a sore throat. I go to the team doctor to treat it, and she gives me unlimited refills of Vicodin. I ended up, selling it, partying with it, like you name it. And 4 months later, I'm training for the NFL, ruptured my Achilles tendon, and Vicodin doesn't work. They give me Norco, and I fall into depression. My homeboys are still playing, and I'm not. Zoloft, and couldn't sleep now because I got all these drugs in me all the fucking time. And so they give me Ambient. Fall off the school's insurance plan because we didn't have Obamacare at the time. And I was broke as fuck, dude, on the streets of Chicago. No life skills. Ended up outside of Wrigley Field selling weed, selling fucking dub sacks to tourists outside of Wrigleyville, outside of Wrigley Field. And a 3.2 GPA, 2 degrees from a top 10 university. And here I am selling weed to support my opioid habit because I needed to raise $860 plus to buy those drugs, not off of insurance. So bright side of that, I ended up being scouted to this mobile marketing firm, and Verizon Wireless was our client, Verizon Wireless Music, and I ended up going on tour with a bunch of pop stars, Nas, Akon, Green Day, Pussycat Dolls, Good Charlotte, to name a few. And I was an MC for Backstage Pass contest, so I was like kind of like a hype man in the Northeast for all these guys. And yeah, it was crazy. I became a secret addict through that. Ended up finding out how much my roommate in college was making in corporate finance. He hooked me up with a job in corporate finance. As much as I loved emceeing and all that other shit on stage, I was fucking broke. I was a fucking roadie. So like, people don't understand, like, yeah, you live this glorious life, you're with these celebrities all the time, but you don't
But
have
you're
no
also
fucking money.
fueling an addiction
Yeah.
at the same time. So
Yeah.
whatever money you were
Yeah.
making was
Yeah, it
pivoting
was
right
gone.
back to your
It was
addiction.
gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, we make like a $1,000 a week. That was like our per diem, like $1,000 a week, and you know that shit was like going straight to fucking pills and shit. But yeah, we got into corporate finance. Was in that for about 7 years. Got in at just the wrong time. And at the top of '07, October '07, rode that crash all the way down to the bottom. And I always joke about this. The best job security any black man can have in the corporate workforce is corporate finance. Like this right period, because there's only one of us in every fucking office. So
Right.
you're not gonna get fired.
They're like, hey, let's go ask the black guy real quick what he thinks.
Right. They're checking their boxes, but seriously, I made it through 4 layoffs.
Wow.
And I clearly was not qualified to be in that shit in the beginning. I was towards the middle, but in the beginning, I clearly was not qualified for them to keep on. And yeah, 4 layoffs. There was 40 plus of us on the internal desk when I started, and there was literally 4 of us. Fucking 4 of us.
Wow.
At the trough of the recession, I was actually leaving. I was going to. It was fucking cold as shit in Chicago. That day it was negative 27 outside, negative 44 wind chill, and those words mean nothing. Those numbers mean nothing to Californians, I know. But
You might as well be talking
fuck.
aliens and UFOs, bro. Because we're like, what? Why does anybody even?
Yeah.
Isn't that inhabitable? Like, I don't even know how
Right.
you do it.
Right, well, here's kind of a visual. I had my condo that I was living at the time was probably maybe like a 4-minute bus ride to my office. And we had a shuttle that went from my condo. So I hop on the shuttle, get out there. I already have 2 layers underneath my suit of long johns. I have like my gator, the thing that we wore underneath our helmet in college football, on as well. I have 2 winter caps on. I hop off the fucking condo looking like the little brother on A Christmas Story.
Oh yeah,
waddling.
I'm feeling it. I'm seeing
I'm
it.
a grown ass fucking man.
Yeah, can't put your arms
Waddling.
down. Yeah.
Yeah. And by the time I get to the revolving door, which is a block away from my shuttle, I look in the window and I see there's icicles out of my fucking nose,
Oh
off
my
my
God.
eyelashes. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here in Chicago? Went inside. I started, I was on monster.com all fucking day that day. A couple of weeks later, I actually got started in the process for Teach for America. I got accepted. I did all that shit, and I was quitting. And I go in there, quit, and my CEO asks me, he's like, "What do we have to do to keep you here?" And I was like, "Keep me warm." I came into this shit because I was gonna make a lot of money. This recession happened. I'm not making shit. Literally right now, I can make less in dollar amount in Florida for Teach for America and still be making more in actual value living in this expensive ass city. And he was like, okay. And he created a fucking position for me just like that. So it was dope. I ended up being the #1 salesman at the entire company. I revived a product that was essentially dead at the time, and rebuilt that on the West Coast. I was actually nationwide and became just a closer. They sent me all over the nation to close bigger deals. That's when I started coming out to California, and that's when I found medicinal cannabis, and it actually
Were you
saved
still
my
at
life.
this point? Were you still addicted to opiates?
I was worse than ever.
Oh my
at that
fucking
point.
god, dude!
Yeah, I just didn't fucking sleep. I didn't sleep all the time. I'm all over the fucking nation, partying with these guys, and that's another conversation we can get into of how fucked up the investment world is. I was with billion-dollar corner office guys, and people don't understand wholesaling and what wholesaling is in finance. It's like pharmaceutical sales and finance, right? And what we did is we would let's say you inherit a couple $1 million from a relative that dies, right? what most people do is they pay off all their bills and then they take it to a financial advisor that's probably been in the family for decades or generations, blah, 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 whatever the reason is. They go to an advisor. What that advisor does is they have a client intake form, and they have a meeting with you, try to get to know you, try to act like you're your friend, blah, 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 blah. Like, cool. They enter all that information, and they tell you they're going to see you in a couple of weeks. They enter that information into a fucking computer. It gives them the approved mutual funds, and it gives you the recommended mutual funds. Usually the recommended funds, my company and other companies like mine would pay to get on that list. And then they call us wholesalers up, and it's just a popularity contest. So it's a bunch of like ex-NFL players, ex-NCAA players, just like fun people to be around. Right. And what we do is we take you to Nobu, Mr. Chow, take you to strip clubs, get you hookers, get you blow, whatever the fuck you need. And next thing you know, that $2 million that you inherited is in my mutual fund that's never beaten the market the next week or the week after that. And I get paid fucking like 15, 16 basis points off of that shit.
Wow.
The whole thing's a fucking scam. But it's a whole different rabbit hole we can go down. But what happened when I was in LA is I got into medical cannabis because a dispensary owner called me out on being an addict because he noticed my Twitch that I had. And he actually asked me what, and me being, like the Mr. Puff my chest out sales guy at the time, I was like, dude, fuck you. He was just like, literally his words were like, you're an addict. And I was like, fuck you, man. What do you mean? Right?
But full well, you knew that you were an addict. That's the part. That's the hard part, right? But you're in so much denial that, yeah.
And I knew I needed help too.
After the next pill, though, right? Like you get help at
exactly.
the end of this bottle. I'll get help at the end of this week. Yeah, I mean, I lost my dad to opioids, man. I watched the whole thing go down. It's fucking painful. It sucks.
It fucking sucks.
I'm sitting here like going, holy fuck, this guy is still alive. Like my dad didn't make it, bro. My dad died, and so it's not a joke, man. This opioid thing is, and cannabis does help, and I think that's where you're getting to is that, cannabis pivoted your life. So sorry, go ahead. I just had to add that.
No, you're 100%. I was just confirming that. I was just agreeing with you. He basically, this dude was like, here, instead of taking this when you have to go to sleep, how about you take half of those pills and try this strain with it?
Wow.
And then he was like, okay, for your pain and whatever, like, why don't you try this strain and take a half a pill or 3/4 of a pill. And then next time you come in town, we'll see how that's going for you. And I didn't know any of the science behind the shit at the time. I didn't believe in quote unquote medical cannabis. I just knew that every time I got into California, I had to hook up at a quote unquote medical dispensary if I can get some quote unquote medical grade marijuana and bring that shit back and just like flex with it back in Chicago because our shit was so trash. But this guy called me out on like being an addict. He actually showed me how to substitute some of it out, and about 6-7 months later, I didn't need those pills anymore, like straight up. So
Hallelujah.
I've been an advocate. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. And I've been an advocate ever since because I didn't know how it worked at all, and I've just been an advocate ever since of just plant medicine overall, and just like trying cannabis as an alternative to opioids because I know 80% of my teammates, colleagues, friends from college or professional football, they're all addicts as well. And it's about, just like accepting plant medicine or at least trying it as a alternative because we were beta testing for big pharma before data was even digital. Like straight up, you have a sprained ankle or something in college football, and they would give us like sample packs, like these 10 packs of Melexicam, to name one of them, Vioxx, another one. All these drugs that are no longer even on the market because they gave young people strokes, heart disease, whatever. They just like toss these shits to us and tell us to test them out and see how they work. So, yeah, man, it's so fucked up in NCAA, but yeah, luckily I found that. And I started to preach like the weed instead of pills. And it didn't really work in corporate finance. I just became like the guy
hippie?
who, no, not even the hippie. When you're black, you're just the plug. So I became like,
Oh, right, sure. Yes,
or
indeed.
you could be a
Yes.
blippy. I don't know. That was a horrible joke. Sorry.
I like that, Blippi. Um, yeah, I became the guy who wasn't afraid to get fired,
Right.
that always had access to weed. So yeah, so a lot of people come to me, and I'd preach like about plant medicine and everything. It would fall upon deaf ears.
Sure.
Then 10 years into my career, I had a tumor. So I had a tumor in my throat, and I thought I was just gonna die, like my father did, like my grandmother did, like my uncle did. It just runs on both sides of my family, and I was the first one to have a benign tumor, and totally changed my life. Totally pivoted. I quit corporate finance after 10 years in. I hated every second
When was
of it.
this? What year was this?
16,
Okay, good.
late 2016, and
Did you use RSO?
no, I didn't.
No.
I just had a benign tumor.
And they took it out. You got it removed.
Yeah, got it removed. It was the most
Was that when you decided like
terrifying.
cannabis is gonna be like my new path? Like this, I'm going all in on it. And was that the moment that you decided to do that?
It wasn't quite at that moment. It was so I had the tumor, waiting for the biopsy results, and that's like 48, the most excruciatingly painful, like terrifying 48 hours of your life. I get that shit back, and I'm like, fuck. And over those 48 hours, I'm just thinking, like, what am I gonna do? Is my will set up? How am I gonna take care of my wife going forward? I'm just gonna die, And came back negative, and I cried.
Right.
I just cried. I felt like I had another chance. I was living a shitty life. Yeah, I wasn't on the pills anymore at that time, but I was still, partying hard. I was at a bad place with my wife. We were separated a couple of times, and I decided to just take a leave of absence from work, right? Just to think about shit. 2 weeks off. I was actually driving up to my best friend, Greg. He's the one who got me in corporate finance in the first place. He was on his second marriage. And I was driving up to his wedding in Oregon, in Southern Oregon, because I didn't want to fly anywhere. I just wanted to, just like drive up with the wife. And we drove up, like a 13-hour drive. Like we're on like hour 10. We just stopped. And this rest area, I have no idea where we were. I was like, we need to take a nap. So I take a nap, and I wake up, and I'm walking the dog, and it's just fucking beautiful, man. It's just a gorgeous like landscape wherever the fuck we were in Southern Oregon. I was like smoking a joint, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm done with this finance shit. I called up my regional director, and at the time, I don't know if I should say this on air, but at the time, I was the branch manager of one of the largest investment firms in the world, at Avenue of the Stars, Century City branch, with over 43 billion assets under management. I'm the branch manager of that shit. I just called it my regional director, and I quit.
I respect that,
dude.
I respect
that. I call him up, and I'm like, yo, he's like, yo, how you doing? How have you been? How's your health? You doing good? And I was just like, yeah, I'm doing great. So I finally have some clarity in my life, and I'm done, man. I'll quit.
Late.
But let me ask you a question. Was that a point where you're like, you quit because you were done with that? And I can totally relate, but were you at that moment saying, now I'm going to go into Canada? When did the light bulb go off that you could apply your skill set to the cannabis industry?
It didn't. Well, my homeboy, it didn't at all. But my homeboy Josh, he's one of the founders of Honey Vape. He had been trying to get me into the cannabis industry for a while. We actually met when I was partying, when me and my wife were separated, and I ended up in the party circuit in LA. And I found out that he was in the same sales channel that I was in. Just a group of friends that were just like high level sales performers. And I was like, oh yeah, what are you doing? He's like, oh yeah, I'm in the oil business. He's like, oh man, I'd love to learn more about energy. He's like, oh no, not that kind of oil.
Right.
Like, and I was like, what do you mean not that kind of oil? And this is the time when the Organogram just came out with their Opens, Open Vape, first came out. And I just heard about those. I just bought like my first vape pen, and I found out that he's working for a company that produced them. And I was like, dude, tell me more. So we became friends, and he had been trying to get me out of corporate finance for like 2 years at this point. And just like, dude, there's so much more opportunity here. It'd be better suited for you. You're a fucking secret pothead, like all this other shit. And just never. I tried to quit. I quit twice. And both times I quit those jobs, I got headhunted immediately and offered a huge uptick in base pay for my last job and a huge signing bonus. So I just kept on going right back. And like this time, I just hit him up, and I didn't have a game plan or anything. I was just like, yo, I quit like finance. You still got any jobs in cannabis? and that was it. Like literally that was it. He introduced me. I quit what I was doing at the time, and I had to get a bridge job. So I was actually in the meantime waiting for a weed job. I was working for another friend of mine at the time, his credit processing company, and did that for a little bit. My boy Josh connected me with a few people. I came down to 3 choices, and I ended up going with the one I thought would be best. It's Baker Technologies. So they were having trouble getting into the California market. Negotiated a deal with them, became their first boots on the ground outside of Denver, and took over the market. At our peak, I was in 34% of California cannabis dispensaries. And I just created a brand for myself on the ground, being authentic. It's a brand new, not just venture for me. It was just like a life choice, life initiative, like altogether. I was in fucking corporate finance for 10 fucking years. This isn't like this year, last year, you see a bunch of like fucking suits coming into the industry. This is damn near 4 years ago. And it's a total fucking life shift. Right. And so I said to myself, if I don't make it in the weed industry, I'm just going to be like a personal trainer or some shit like that. And luckily it worked out. I brought, I was 34% in California. We were 42% of the market share globally. Ended up going public. I exited the company, ended up starting a couple of my own businesses. The first one, the Suave Life, all started out, market, you used to come to my shit, private parties for like people in the cannabis industry. Celebrities, pro athletes, investors looking to come into the cannabis industry, but they don't want to go to a sesh. I started doing like high-end parties that were just happened to be sponsored by cannabis companies. And I became like the glue that connected the trap house to the penthouse. Right?
Wait. What's that again?
I became the glue connecting the trap house to the penthouse. And
lovely.
Yeah, and I did all of this just going on the ground, going door to door, because for the first time in my entire sales career, I was failing. The first two months in the industry, like nobody was answering my calls, nobody was answering my emails, like nothing was going right. Right, and I didn't know why. But my boy Josh told me to just try things their way, see if it works. If it doesn't, I'll take you on the streets. So the straw that broke the camel's back. I was going to quit Baker because I was like, fuck this doesn't work. I'm just not going to cut it. And cannabis, like I'll just take my L. And my sister, who is was a consultant to a bunch of trap farmers up north. She told me, before you quit, just try out, go to an event, go to like a women grow meeting or something, just go try to meet people. I was like, the fuck is Women Grow? And she told me, she said, well, it's kind of a whatever industry meetup, but you're going to meet some people in the industry, both on the corporate side and on the side of the cultivation and stuff like that. Get a few contacts, see if you can grow that way. And I did, and that night that I went, like all the stars were in alignment. I met a few of the most prominent people in the industry that time and presently. Built my network, and the best thing that anybody taught me was Virgil Grant, because he was speaking that night, and I met him. I told him how inspired I was by his story, and I was like, dude, how can you help a young brother like myself trying to make it in the industry? I've been failing. My company just raised $3.2 million. It's an absurd amount of money at the time. We just raised $3.2 million. It's the only company ever to raise money like that in the industry to that point. And I can't get anybody to answer my phone calls. And he was like, he laughed a little bit, and he said, yeah, we know who Baker Technology is, but nobody gives a fuck about any companies that are not in California and actually on the ground. You got to meet people, brother. You got to shake hands. You got to know people's stories if they want to do business with you. And I think that's the best piece of advice anybody ever gave me in the industry to start out with, because I started going door to door. I was like, what the fuck do I have to lose? Like, I'm going door to door with this shit. I'm going to demo this shit face to face. Nobody's ever tried it. And the higher ups at Baker were trying to talk me out of it. You're going to waste time. We're about efficiency, blah, 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 blah. I was like, look, also, I've made pretty good money in corporate finance. I've got a decent amount put away. I'll sell one of my cars and so we can maintain our lifestyle, whatever, but I need to go meet people. And that was the best thing that ever happened. And like,
you got to be on the ground, man.
Right. And that's what I tell my clients now, because the Suave Life, which was just originally parties and events, is now spread to be more of a sales and marketing consulting, being on the ground. And that's one of the first things that I teach any of the companies that I represent that are not from the California industry, or they're new to the market. I bring them on as a client. First thing I let them know is like, out of sight, off the shelf. Straight up, that's just the California industry. If you're not in the market, you're not on the ground, people don't see you, you're not going to succeed, period. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't about me having a superior product, which I believe we did most of the time that I was at Baker. It was about those face-to-face conversations, the fact that people trusted me. They saw me out in the community, the advocate for the plant. I went to like damn near every public hearing, celebration for all different kinds of companies. I was immersed in the culture, both on the business side and on the lifestyle side. And that's really what it took to like build it wasn't even about cred for me. It was about, with me and my own selfish way of taking it in, I was just curious about everybody's backstory. So many different people from so many different walks of life. Doesn't matter if you're rich, poor, you're a fucking criminal, you're a fucking saint. Like, there's all different kinds of people, conservative, liberal, that are in this game. And people just don't know that. And that's why I love this plant, because every game-changing moment of my life, every like huge pivotal moment of my life, it was all about weed. It was all about cannabis.
You know, there's still a lot of people in this industry, no matter how many suits come in and how much corporate money's piling in. You have to be culturally connected to what's going on.
Yep, or you're not going to last. And I think that's what's happening. That's what was happening in the cannabis industry before this whole coronavirus even occurred.
Oh, dude, 100%. The industry was wobbling from all the idiots that were jumping in and making the merry-go-round uneven. You know what I mean? And we were desperate. There was a lot of people that were doing desperate deals. And I think right before this whole piece happened, that people were starting to smell the shit. You know what I mean? Like, it was definitely bubbling up. And frankly, to be honest with you, this COVID virus thing and the people that are going to go out of business are going to get a pass, because their shit's not going to really get exposed. They're just going to be like, oh, we didn't make it. But you're
going to blame it.
Yeah, we're the death.
You're going to blame it on that shit.
Absolutely.
No, that shit was crumbling.
Oh, yeah.
Like my company, dude, my fucking stock my fucking strike price $5.25. We were supposed to go public at $5 a share. We went public at $3.20. This shit's currently trading at like 12 cents.
Oh,
and,
wow.
and people are gonna look at it like, oh yeah, coronavirus, blah blah. No, this shit was fucking like hovering between 17 and 19 cents before this shit happened.
you know,
Like,
and,
there's so much dumb shit. There's so many people that don't understand the culture side of this industry, and they fucking crumble. They don't respect
that.
it.
I think that's definitely number one is the culture component. Like, it's like funny listening to you talk. We'll share offline because it's not about me right now. It's about you. But like from like selling weed at 13, stealing my dad's weed, rolling that shit up, selling it, to my wife having a brain tumor, to like me being separated with her, to me working at the NBA, to me having my moment. But I think overall culture is one of the things. I think the second thing is, bro, people sold like such exponential futures on shit that like when I consult and I get people ask me, help me build a pro forma. I need a 3-year pro forma for cannabis. I said, well, here's what you're going to do. You're going to give them 6 months, and then you're going to tell them that every 6 months you're going to adjust it. And if they don't believe you on that, then you don't want them as an investor, because there's no way in hell. I work directly with Tommy Chong. He asks me all the time, how much weed do you think we're going to sell at the end of the year? I'm like, I don't know, dude. Let me get through next month. You know what I mean? It's just the problem is people bought in at such a high valuation on some of these companies that they're never going to recognize. And that I believe was like one of the, you being in finance know that more than anybody. That was that was the problem. That was the bubble that was about to burst.
100%, 100%. And I saw, I mean, when I go over all of 2019, when I finished my fiscal wrap up of the year last year, I'll be able to like pinpoint like in my business, like where it started to, I started to see a downtick in like overall revenue. And then the vape crisis happened.
Yeah.
And then I think it was like early December, like I could start to see like this shit's done. I was like, this shit is
gears started locking up.
Done. Yeah, like it was fucking crazy, and that's why I started shifting a lot of my shit more on the CBD / health and wellness lane.
Because that's what this whole thing like kind of started like around. It was like, let's make it medicinal, and then somewhere, and this is like I want to dedicate the last 10 minutes or so we have to talking about your event, the event that you have coming up. But I want to real quick say it's like when everything was going legal, and I think even the California legislators who don't know what the fuck they're doing right now, but they thought, oh, well, we'll let these people sell some weed. They had no idea there was about to be 700 different categories of the plant, not even including the CBD component, the CBG. I mean, it's just these guys can't get their head around it. And I think it's very smart of you to pivot back to health and wellness. It's always where I've existed. Look, we all get high. We all medicate, but we ironically medicate. Like there's a reason why a certain weed strain makes your nose turn up, because that's what works for you. That's the terpene base. We did that shit off of blind feeling when we were younger. We didn't have a COA that told us where it was grown, what everything's in. I mean, nowadays you can dial that shit in. Let's talk a little bit about Cannagather, and you just kind of put out something the other day where you're going to be hosting a virtual event, which is where people kind of have to go. And I think one of the outsets of this whole lockdown is that we're going to find out that quality of life is super more important than like how much you're trying to do stuff, and a lot of stuff can be accomplished online. So talk a little bit about, like, it's pretty obvious everyone's going to try to start doing virtual events. What was your mindset going into that, and then what kind of how does someone prepare for a virtual event versus a physical one?
All right, so it got into me because of my personal business outside of Cannagather. Cannagather is the cannabis industry's largest monthly networking event. We have 18 locations nationwide, been running for 5 years as well, started in New York. I built it, my own franchise out here in LA first, and then end up opening Orange County. LA average is about just under 200 people monthly. And Orange County, I was building it up to almost 100 a month out there as well. And generally, my brand of Cannagather is bringing people from all walks of life, creating business opportunities and great conversations that are pretty candid if you'd agree, Mark. I'm pretty candid up there. I keep it real with everybody, let people, whether it's a social equity applicant, a consumer, bud tender, owners, operators, C-suite executives. You have occasional celebrities come in there as well. Just the cannabis industry personified is my brand of Cannagather. So I've been doing that, and my wife is actually, she's due in 2 weeks, like praying that we'll have a hospital bed. But knowing that the baby was going to come soon, I was transitioning into this growth position with Cannagather and transitioning all of my personal events into more educational online webinar style, and was exploring a bunch of different platforms for that anyways. So I was already in a great position to do some online shit. And us having all of these different channels nationwide, we're taking a massive fucking hit not being able to do face-to-face events monthly. Like, dude, we have no idea how we're gonna go forward. And I was like, dude, like, I've been building this shit out. I know how to get like somewhat of a healthy following to go online. Let's just see if we can get a platform to broadcast this on our website. So we did that. I built the platform out on the back end, like almost like 48 hours no sleep this past weekend. Last weekend, building that out, started marketing it, and on Thursday we had over 1,200 attendees on the platform nationwide. There was 500 we actually let in the live chat, and the rest of the people either watched it on our website, on our YouTube channel, or live on Facebook as well. So we were able to track all of that stuff and see which platforms were more successful, and also track where people were coming from and watching us over the US. And we're able to crunch those numbers and provide value and continue going forward virtually like we did before, because we're still going to be getting the exact right eyes in front of those advertisements that we would in our face-to-face events that we do monthly. So we can still sell sponsorships there. We can still broadcast it live there, and we can actually sell tickets for people who want to be who want access to that live chat channel. Just sell them instead of like $25 for our live events, person to person. We can just maybe sell them for like $5, so we can have revenue in that channel. We have revenue as far as like advertising on the page as well, and we have proof of concept that we can get people out to these events. There is an interest in it, and between Josh and myself, I think we have like some of the dopest Rolodexes between the two of us, period, so we can get people on a high quality show every week, right?
So great.
Yeah, so I'd already been building it on the back end. I'm a data fucking nerd, and
I was wondering, like, what platform do you use to have that volume of people? I mean, people are trying to do Zoom meetings. Like, I've interviewed a couple other event producers, David Tran, Adelia Carrillo. They're all kind of trying to figure out what Dave's a little hard to do his stuff because his is a whole physicality component, but you know, there's other people that are trying to do like online trade shows. How do you technologically prepare for that? Like, how are you capable of managing? What does that look like for somebody to have a virtual event? Is it just like a two-way? Is it like engaging? Like, I got so many questions, so I'm a little bit rambling. But how does that work?
The way I was actually setting it up was for educational purposes. So I was using the first one that we tried out, and it worked pretty damn well for Cannagather's format, was Big Marker. So bigmarker.com, you can do like these webinar style live streaming events. It's not really immersive. It wouldn't work in my health and wellness lane. With CBD Sundays, that business is more of it's meditation, yoga, massage, upstairs, downstairs, CBD infused brunch, bombs, mimosas, right? And I built that franchise out on the fact that you can have access to these brands in personally. Mark, have you come through CBD Sundays, Joe? I think you have.
I haven't yet. No.
Okay. So we have excellent. But I can probably transition that platform and that website into something similar to what I'm doing with Cannagather, because I can have it more informational. I still have access to some of the first and foremost health practitioners that are connected to the cannabis industry and that are not as well. So I can have a full spectrum, if you will, of individuals coming on there and producing content that I can pop on there. I have a full conversation as premium. If people want to subscribe to that lane. And I can do like live sessions with my practitioners, whether they are meditation specialists, whether they are doing yoga, whether they are just doing overall expression, breathing techniques, all that kind of stuff that I would do live at my events. I can have people do one-on-ones and book them on that website. And then on my personal website on the Suave Life, which is a culmination of pretty much everything, I plan on doing live video interviews as well with people and branded content on my website as well. So I've already been building out this three-headed monster already, and we were well equipped to do it through Cannagather. And I think the best thing that I showed through Cannagather is the value that we can provide people, because we have the audience necessary. Over 5 years of doing events in the cannabis industry, we've built a fucking crazy list of not only emails of monthly subscribers to us nationwide, but also just racked up a ton of people, allies in the industry that know us as a fucking reliable source when it comes to getting out good information, reliable information, accurate information to the masses, and not just to one side of the industry. We're not about that. So
that is awesome. So tell me, does that mean that because, at least for the time being, Cannagather is going to be found online, are you collapsing all the Cannagathers into one now, or are you still trying to do it regionally at different times?
No. So it is, we're starting off with the national Cannagather. We're going to try a couple of episodes there. We're going to test our monetization strategy first. We want to make sure that it's profitable from one central point first. And then we're going to push it out to all of our market leaders that want to replicate that. Currently, if they're helping us, all of our market leaders that are out there that are helping us with the national effort, they get commissions off of that, the same exact commissions we would get on the regional markets. And those guys and gals, we're going to be setting up their entire platforms for them so they can get going in their own individual markets. Like, no, we don't have to. We're just like literally just transitioning into a media company because we have to, out of necessity. This is the time you adapt or fucking die, right?
Again,
right? Yeah, again and again. You got to be the phoenix in this bitch. I was rapping with Adelia this week, a couple of other event organizers in the real life space, and we're just like passing back and forth ideas, notes that we're taking. It's a time that you're going to find a lot of strange bedfellows, because let bygones be bygones, because we're all going to fucking die off if we don't fucking work together at this point.
Beautiful comment.
People need to they got to go with that, man.
Yeah.
Got to.
I think, first of all, really appreciate you taking the time, dude. You've been a wealth of information. You speak really well. It's been enjoyable to like listen to you kind of tell your stories. Man, my heart feels for you. I'm so proud that you're able to get out of that fucking tailspin of opioids. I saw it kill so many of my friends, and in addition to taking my dad. And my dad was just taking it basically how the doctors are giving it to him, and whatever. But I want to give you the chance here as we wrap to go ahead and shout out all your social media handles, where people can hit you, and then we're gonna make sure that we'll get through this thing, and like you said, bygones be bygones.
Exactly. Always, man. Always. Like, we just got to understand we're all on the same fucking page right now. And
it's called the survival page. It's page 19 in the book. It says survive, and then it's a blank page, and you got to figure it the fuck out. So tell us where people can find you on social and the website, and then we'll get back to our day.
No, yeah, absolutely. You can find me. I am the most prominently found on my Instagram page, Suavecito Rico, and it's SUAVECITO _FRED. Erico. And you can find me on my website as well. Everything's connected to my website. It should be by the end of this weekend, which is tonight. I should have everything connected through my website. So you can go to my website and find all the things that I'm doing. I'm going to be live blogging from there, and writing as well every single day.
Shout
and
out
that's
that web address. That web address real quick.
Yes.
What is it?
TheSuavelife.com, www.thsuavelife.com. And that's the other thing I forgot. That's what I meant in the beginning. Remember what I said I forgot because I smoked some weed. My last name is no longer Tarver. It's Lamitte. You can find out about that on my TED Talk, and you can find out about why I changed my name. And this is before the whole coronavirus thing happened. On my website, thesuavelife.com, I actually wrote a blog post about it. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you have a similar experience. My TED Talk was all about that as well. You'll understand.
Respect.
And,
we'll make sure we link out to
love.
website, TED Talk, IG, all that stuff.
Much love.
Fuck, dude,
And
you're
I want to
amazing.
And I want to interview you motherfuckers too.
Let's go.
Have a virtual fucking sesh online, and we can fucking try out some of these media platforms and trash them if they fucking suck.
Just so you know, bro. Hey, just so you know, Mark's guy that does his contracts super hard to deal with, bro. So it's like,
yeah.
Good luck. Good luck. You know, I'm easy. Good luck with that, dude. I can't tell you anything other than that. Hey, man, thank you for the time today. Appreciate the fuck out of you.
Thank you.
Let's stay on the phone after we're done. But thanks, man. Super.
Thank you, Rico.
Yeah, absolutely.
Much love, man. Stay safe, and remember, when there's no place else to turn, you got to turn up, man. You got to turn up.
That's a wrap. Thank you for listening to this edition of Cannabis Karaoke, another kick-ass podcast about all things cannabis. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and our website, cannabiskaraoke.tv. And if you or someone you know would like to be on the show, please hit the book your interview button on the right. Cannabis Karaoke. Grab the mic and tell your story. Wow.